I think to start with, first of all, you can tell us a little bit about the human magnet syndrome and its relationship to codependency. And, we want to be happy. All human beings want to be happy, and we are trying to not stress so much. And part of it, I thought, is not just being afraid and anxious and all this, but also not knowing about how to relate to one another, especially now that more people are together home, spending more time together. So maybe you can talk about your book a little bit and see what shows up.
Okay. Well, as you guys know, I wrote the book, The Human Magnet Syndrome. I wrote the first version in 2013, and then I updated it in 2018. And the book is about and explains why codependents, people who are, chronically caregiving, they're always taking care of other people. They're always focused on the needs of everyone else. Why they always fall in love with narcissists, selfish people, self-centered, arrogant, enabled, manipulative people. And what I explained in my book is that the codependent is responsible for the relationship pattern, not the abuse that they experience or the harm, because they keep choosing the same type of lover, friend, partner, because of this feeling that they experience as chemistry or attraction to a person who in the beginning feels so perfect, so nice, like a soulmate, who eventually they find out is not who they thought they were. And as my dad once said, turns out to be the cellmate. And so the human magnet syndrome explores this phenomenon of why we fall in love with the person who feels right, who ends up being very harmful.
Well, I did read. I had a falling out with a very, very, very close relationship that it was very hurtful to me, and I was confused by it. And so for a couple of months, I was looking here and there, and I stumbled on the idea of narcissism and narcissist, and I realized, oh my God, yeah, this person has all these qualities. And so I stumbled onto your topic, and I realized that why, like you said, why going after the same person or being attracted by the same person, and the idea of self-love.
So what my therapist once told me, she said, Ross, the problem is you have a broken picker. and what she meant is that the person that I always seem to choose is not good for me. And then I would soon learn that the women that I chose to be in my life, who has a different face but the same person. And then I started to explore that it had a lot to do with what happened to me as a child. And I was a child who was born to a narcissist, or what I call in my book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, a pathological narcissist. And when we are born to such a person, we don't experience unconditional love. And we grow up in an early childhood environment where the attachment experience is that we have to mold ourselves to be the type of child that the narcissist wants or wanted, the trophy child, the pleasing child, or we have to mold ourselves to be the type of person that can avoid disappointing or upsetting the narcissist. And because of the human magnet syndrome and the pairing of codependents and narcissists, the other parent is codependent. So essentially, codependency, or what I would later term self-love deficit disorder, comes from early childhood trauma, where you were raised in an environment where you never learned to love yourself because there was too much pressure on you to take care of someone, the narcissist. So what I teach people is to overcome this problem of codependency or self-love deficit disorder, is you have to find a way to solve the trauma that happened to you as a child, to understand the core shame that it caused and the loneliness that's a part of it.
So in the field that I am with mindful awareness, there is of course, the people's capacity is important. What you can do with your own mind, your ability, your skill is very important. But for myself, I've been able to go inside, go kind of find that place, that one little helpless feeling, that one little weak feeling, that one little thing that draws me to the narcissist, right? That I get that little thing from that person, and then the rest is suffering. Going to psychotherapist and working with somebody very professional is extremely important. But without that, how can a person in a daily life be aware of some kind of a wound that it is related to?
So what I'm hearing you say is that if self-love deficit disorder, codependency, is caused by this trauma, how can you solve it so that you find a way to stop this horrible pattern of falling in love with and then being entrapped by narcissists who can be doing it manipulatively through gaslighting or through your own fear of being alone or loneliness? And the answer is far from simple,
Right.
which is why it's impossible to solve this problem by yourself.
Yes.
It's just impossible, because if the problems are beyond one's conscious awareness, that means reflection, whether it's meditation, mindfulness, you can't get to the core that compels you to keep making these mistakes or these bad judgments. So mindfulness and meditation and the calming of one's mind and one's spirit can help someone dig deeper. But it's like if you're looking at, you have an assignment, say you're a contractor and you have to dig in this area, and there's one level that has a lot of rocks and really dense clay. You're not going to be able to dig with a shovel. You're going to need help. You're going to need something else, another piece of equipment. And so really psychotherapy or the use of the materials that I have that are in my book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, and my online seminars on the codependency cure, where I talk about I have a 10-stage treatment program. That's the best that I can recommend to people.
Right. And I'm very happy that we're going to be able to put that on our website and put a link to it and offer to people so that they can actually go and seek that out. So could you talk a little bit about the addiction part of codependency or self?
What I call my self-love deficit disorder. Remember, self-love deficit disorder, or SLDD, is another name for codependency. I have an SLDD pyramid, and the simple pyramid explains the problem. At the core, or at the foundation of the pyramid, is attachment trauma, which I already explained. From attachment trauma comes the development of core shame, or this feeling of being fundamentally broken or not good enough. From the core shame, moving upwards to the pyramid, is this experience of pathological loneliness, this bone aching existential void of not feeling whole or good in your own skin, and which is connected to your feelings of core shame. From the pathological loneliness is the addiction.
Mm-hmm.
That is this intense yearning, this intense obsession, this ache that you need to find a way to take the pain away. And the pain is the loneliness. The addiction is a relationship. Only a relationship will take the loneliness away, which is, of course, caused by the shame, which is caused by the attachment trauma. So all of the SLDs, people who are self-love deficient or codependent, they experience this addiction. And it's very common for an SLD to say to me as a therapist that I tried to stop, but I kept going back to him or her. It's like something commandeered my mind and took over it. And the experience of loneliness was so intense. So so what I did was I explained that this pathological loneliness is a withdrawal symptom of the SLDD or codependency addiction. So if someone should leave the narcissist or try to break free, they will feel this intense loneliness. And because of they want the pain to go away, the addiction, they go back to the relationship, or they find another person. if you do break free from the narcissist and you haven't done the psychological work, you're going to fall in love. Remember, your picker is broken. You're going to fall in love with another narcissist
Right.
because the SLD or codependent needs to be in a relationship because of the addiction to take the pain away.
I can verify from my own experience, right? How can a person see that this is not just me needing social, like being a human being who is a social being, who would want to have a relationship? I mean, I know what you're talking about, but for a person to say, I guess they would choose a healthy, not a narcissistic
Yeah,
relationship.
well, you have to remember that there's a reason why I changed the name to codependency to self-love deficit disorder. If you come from a family, as I explained, in which you were raised by a narcissist, you never learned to feel good because of who you were. Just you didn't receive unconditional love, so you grew up feeling that if only somehow you can sacrifice yourself, diminish yourself, become invisible, be the prized trophy child, you then are going to be worth something. So you grow up and you bring that into adulthood, and you basically feel good when you take care of others. You never learn self-love. So it's essential in SLDD recovery, which is my codependency cure, that you have to find a way to solve the self-love deficit disorder.
Right.
And what that, and to do that, you have to solve the problem and learn self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have self-love, you do not need a relationship to make you feel good. And if you love yourself, then the relationships you end up choosing promote the self-love. So it's the relationship with self. It's the love of self
Right.
that has to be solved. And because an SLD or a codependent, their natural inclination is to avoid loneliness and connect with others. In treatment, you have to learn to be by yourself and love yourself and to be at peace with that so that you can finally seek the love of others that don't tear you down or hurt you.
Most of the population of the world has to go into therapy.
No, it does not. It does not mean that. Not at
No,
all.
no.
That's an assumption. That's an incorrect assumption. Is based upon most of the world having narcissistic parents and suffering attachment trauma, and that is not a correct assumption.
Mm.
And I have no statistics, but if you come from what I call normal parents, which are parents that have made mistakes, who aren't perfect, but who are neither a pathological narcissist or a codependent, you were raised with unconditional love, and you might grow up with as an adult with problems, but you aren't going to be an adult that has a personality disorder or is codependent. So, but a large number of the world does suffer from the problem, though.
Any tips or anything you can give to, I mean, knowing that somebody is the way it is, it can be helpful, but how do you, because I get these questions all the time that the husband is home more often than not. And
Most of the people that I work with suffer because they never learned how to be with themselves and be comfortable and happy. And so during this crisis,
yeah,
during this horrible COVID-19 crisis where so many people are like myself, quarantined, this is an ideal time to find ways to nurture yourself, to do things that make you happy, independent of other people, activities and projects that make you feel good. And sometimes that starts with just reading a book, cooking something,
mm,
um, taking a walk. So many of us, myself included, we have to retrain ourselves to know and to understand what we want. And I'll give you an example. Not too long after I divorced, I just didn't know what to do. And I had to think, what do I like to do? And I really had a hard time answering that question. And I remembered 25 years ago, I used to play pool and I loved it.
mm,
And I thought, I'm going to join a pool league. And I joined one and I had so much fun. And I thought to myself, why did I wait 25 years to do this?
mm,
And the answer is because I was an SLD, I was a codependent. I never learned that it was okay to do things that made me feel good.
mm.
So my advice to this community is fight the gaslit narrative that doing something for you is selfish enjoy it, and give yourself permission to find some happiness in something that makes you feel good without feeling guilty or shame about it.
I actually did have one very key question that I have. When I read your book and watched your videos, you did answer the question, but slightly different aspect of it, which is, okay, if I'm not me, the codependent, coming and saying, am I a narcissist? No, but me looking at a parent, for example, who seems all their life to be a codependent kind of behaving, but now I'm learning that, oh, they look really narcissistic to me, actually, because of the lack of empathy and the way they manipulative ways they do it. So is it possible that a person, or maybe is a type of narcissist that looks like a codependent?
There is the problem that I call pathological narcissism. And that includes 3 personality disorders. One is narcissistic personality disorder, the other is borderline personality disorder, and the other one is antisocial personality disorder, which some people know as a sociopath or a psychopath. But the personality disorder, the narcissistic personality disorder, has 4 subcategories, and one of them is called covert narcissism, covert narcissism. And that is a form of narcissism in which the person pretends to be likable, helpful, they altruistic, empathetic, and they pretend to be this bigger than life person in order to meet their own narcissistic needs. They can be a teacher, a psychotherapist, a rabbi, a priest, but all of the good things that they do is to create this illusion that they are great, wonderful people, but they don't really care about people. They care more about looking good and getting the benefit of being that person. Sometimes it's a job, sometimes it's rewards. So if it's the covert narcissist and the sociopathic person that are often the great pretenders who catch you by surprise.
That's right. And it's no use telling them, explaining to them what's going on, right?
Yeah, that's correct. A person with a personality disorder is incapable of understanding they have a problem or accepting it. And should you confront them, you will create a narcissistic injury, and they will need to hurt you in order to protect themselves or prove themselves as the victim. That's a great advice. What are some quick red flags to watch out for a narcissist? The biggest red flag, believe it or not, is yourself. So you can only see what you understand. And if you're an SLD, a codependent, you're not going to be able to see the narcissist. You're going to be oblivious to them. They're going to seem beautiful, sexy, enticing, charming, and you're going to be fooled over and over again. So I can explain what are the red flags all day, but you won't see those red flags until you heal or you resolve the part of you that keeps finding them so attractive. So I can say, well, they're entitled, they're grandiose, they brag, they're vain, they need to be the center of conversation. But if you're an SLD and you struggle with the shame and the pathological loneliness and the addiction, you'll find this type of person attractive.
Yes.
And so I say to the folks who are listening is learn as much as you can about the human magnet syndrome and why the SLD or codependent is attracted to the narcissist, and that will help you more than remembering the traits of narcissists so you can keep away from them. So I hope this was helpful, and I thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes.
And I wish you all the very, very best. And please be safe and take care of your most important person during this time is you. As they say in the airlines industry, when the oxygen mask comes down, you must put it over yourself first, because you're not any good if you should perish or pass out when you want to take care of your children or other ones. So take care of yourself so you can take care of others.
Thank you so much, Ross. I appreciate it. This was a very good introduction to a lot of people. So I'm sure they're going to continue looking up your videos and your website, selfloverecovery.com, right?
Yes.
And we will put a link to your material to our website as well. Thank you for coming. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.